TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Hey, it's Tuesday, and welcome to In the Batter's Box. My name is Scott Webb, and welcome in. I appreciate you showing up here today. Daniel Barry Sports Highlights says, "Yo, hey, welcome in, Daniel. I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. You know, it's Mondays are pretty fun days for me because, you know, I talk about this a little bit, and you know, we run into the idea that the series ends on, you know, the weekend series is over. So you get new series that start on Monday, and you get new matchups and new teams that are facing each other. And a lot of times there's a shorter slate of games, which is why I don't necessarily come on Monday. So Tuesday I usually come on, and you know, we get to talk about these matchups for the first time. And a lot of times what I find fascinating is that you can see the differences of how sports books look at different teams and where they rank them, and really it's a lot to do with what they think of certain pitchers and home and away and different things. So we'll get into a little bit of that today. There's a couple other things. You know, I guess the best way to say this is sports gambling in itself it's a long ordeal, meaning that you know, for baseball, you have every single day you're looking at stuff and you're trying to handicap and make EV positive bets. And you know, we're into August, and you know, this started in the end of March, so there's no days off. You just keep working through whether you're doing good or whether you're doing bad, and whether you're hey, Marty Lowe, thanks for swinging in. I appreciate it. How you doing? You know, it's a long season, and then at this moment in time, you're starting to really gear up for football too, because football takes over. Not that you're not betting baseball, but you know, you're doing both. So then you got less sleep, and then basketball comes on, right? So it's just a long thing. And you know, baseball's a daily grind. You know, you do a lot of stuff. So you give units away, and you make units, and it's just like anything else. It's when you know, good teams go on a run, right? They win 10, 12 games. I shouldn't say it that way. They win, say, 6, 7, 8 games in a row. Maybe sometimes they get to 10. You know, and then they go into the dumper for a little while, and you know, it's just the way things work. Well, sports gambling's that way too, right? You have your good things and your bad things. And, you know, over the last, I would say, 2 weeks in my service. Now, here's an interesting thing, right? So one of the things that, you know, I don't charge people hardly anything. It's $100 for a whole year. But the idea is, you know, that I'm going to help people, and I'm going to help them make money, and I'm going to help them learn how to do this stuff. And then I'm going to show them, based off of what I'm doing, that's how to do it, right? So everything's been great up to the last 2 weeks. You know, the last 2 weeks I've had some I guess bad luck, and you know, maybe they're just bad picks, but you know, so I've hit a spot where I've got a hole, and so we're going to change things up a little bit on what I'm looking at today, because I think part of when you're doing these things is you don't go back and keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over. You have to stem the tide and then get back to what you were doing. So that's what I'm looking to do, is stem the tide a little bit, because I'm bleeding a little bit in terms of what I'm doing with the people that are paying me. Now, the people on the show, we're we're not doing terrible. I mean, we'll win 2 and lose 3, or we'll win 3 and lose 1, or however it goes. We're 500ish or so. So we're trying to do that a little bit, keep that going too. So as we're going, it's a long time, it's a long season, and you have your ups and your downs, and you fight through that stuff. And you just keep focusing. One of the things that people always say is, why didn't people join up with you when you were 13-1? Well, the reality is that you can't sustain a 13-1. So it's really probably not a good time to sign up with somebody when you're 13-1, because there's going to be regression coming at some point. And then when you're losing, it's a good time to sign up, because that regression is going to be turned into progression. And then you turn into, okay, some of that losing's out of the way. Now here comes the winning, and boom, 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 it's good. So there's always some sort of a positive to everything. And that's kind of how you have to look at stuff, right? Because if you don't, you can sit here and go, well, this is just a waste of time and it's a bad endeavor. But you know so much, and you know how to do this stuff, that you just have to fight through stuff. So that's kind of how it works. So anyway, that's the ups and downs of a long season. Stuff happens. So there's going to be a little bit of a formatting change today in reference to sort of how I'm looking at some of these picks and kind of what I'm trying to do today. So the first formatting change is everything you do is going to be geared around the starting pitchers, right? So if I bring over my reports for the starting pitchers, just so that they're here and I have them near me, one of the things I did was I changed a little bit of how much data I put into my reports today. So, like I didn't put in the ground ball percentage today, and I didn't put in, certain other things. So, but the main stuff that you need is there. So, how many guys are getting on per inning, how many mistakes they make, what kind of pitching performances have they had over the last 3 games, 7 games for the year, all that kind of stuff that's all in there. So, but that's all I see today. So my main focus today was, and maybe for the next couple of days, is I want to bet on teams that can score runs and have good offense and are hitting well currently. I want to bet on teams that in their last 20 games or last 10 games have been winning, right? Because they're hot. I want to bet on those kind of teams. And I want to bet on pitchers that have the ability then to affect the gap between what one offense is versus another. So that's the goal today. So we'll see how that plays out and how we go, right? So we still want to make EV positive bets. So step one is we go to Webby Odds and make sure that we're making bets that if we made them 1,000 times, they're going to win, right? We want to do that first. That's the qualification of you got to make a good bet. And then second, when you handicap on top of that, you want to then steer yourself in the right direction. So I've got 3 spots for you guys today, and those they're kind of later games. I think what time is that game go? That is Houston. 6:50. So we'll talk about that one first. So one of the things I like to do, and we've talked about this before, is in the morning I'm going to come up and I don't need to adjust my numbers as the betting lines go, because I need to know the 2 pitchers, the 2 teams, and I need to update the night before whether they won or lost and what their projected numbers look like. So then as the betting starts to happen, as you compare it to a number at a book, and the betting is going to either go towards what you made the number to be, or it's going to go away. So if it goes towards what you're doing, a lot of times you're like, okay, well, the betting market likes this same kind of thought that I had on what the line should be, so the betting market's going there. And sometimes it goes opposite. And when it goes opposite, I think it's great. And the reason I think it's great is not because I think the market disagrees with what my position is. I think the market goes and tells me that stuff's on sale, so I can buy stuff cheaper, or I can make bets on that stuff cheaper. And that's one of the first spots that I have today. So this morning, when I make the numbers, and I'm going to pull up my numbers here so that I have them in front of me. We have a game, Houston Astros and Tampa Bay Rays. And it also fits some of this other strategy I was talking about. So this is Kikuchi against Baz. Now, these two guys have pitched against these two teams very recently. Not the very last start, but the start prior to that was Houston playing Tampa Bay. So they've seen each other. They've pitched already, but where I look at this and how things come out, right? If I break this down, let me get my numbers out here. I can share this with you as a breakdown. So we'll break this game down real quick. So I'm gonna this is my line generator, my odds generator kind of thing. I call it the trading bases model because most of this came from a book called Trading Bases, and it has some influence that I have to it. But I'm gonna put in Houston, and this is Kikuchi, and we're gonna go Tampa Bay and Baz, and then I have what I need to do is figure out what the power ratings are for these teams, and they're not really power ratings; they're projected wins, and it comes in a percentage. So Houston, basically, I have them at 88 wins as a strength of a team, and 88 wins is a winning percentage of 542. So I put in 542, and then Tampa Bay, I have them, and people aren't necessarily going to 100% agree with some of this stuff, but I have Tampa Bay. If you go and look at what Fangraphs has them at 81 wins, and Baseball Prospectus has them at 79 wins. So if you combine them, that's 80 wins. Okay, so they're just an under 500 team. Base Runs says that Tampa Bay has been lucky to the degree in which they've won 5 games they shouldn't have. So I take those out. So I want the quality of this team based off of taking all the luck side out of it, right? So I take that out. That means that they're a 75 win team. So their winning percentage is 0.463. So the way this calculator works is I want to know how many times a team that has a winning percentage of 542, when they play a team that is a winning percentage of 463, what's the percentage wins for the team that has the higher percentage, in this case 542. So it comes out, it says it's 57.85. So 57.85% of the time, the Houston Astros are going to win this game. And if I were to go and just take, let me pull up a different calculator for 1 second, baseball, and grab my where's my calculator? The odds calculator. And if I just type into my odds calculator, that's not the right thing. Why is this not where I want it to be? It's kind of silly. So we're going to go over here, and we're going to do it this way and pull it up this way. So if I go and say 57.85, right? 57.85. Whoops. 57.85. You got to go this way. Implied probability convert. So 5785 is minus 137. And that's kind of what you're doing now. You're going to take this win probability number, and then we're going to work from there down, right? So just in premise of these two teams playing each other, not influenced by either pitcher, we take the two teams, we match them together. The Houston Astros are going to win this game 57.85% of the time. So the implied probability then becomes, and we switch that to American odds, you're minus 137.25. So then you can go and say, hey, what's the actual number, right? So when you go look at the actual number, where's Houston? Houston opened at minus 130. So that's pretty close, right? So what we haven't done yet is we haven't adjusted for the pitchers, and we haven't adjusted for the home field. So as we do that, we're going to adjust those now. So you go back in, and now you got to look at the pitchers. So where do you get the adjustments for the pitchers? Well, what I do is I go to Fangraphs, and then I go to projections, and then hit Steamer update. So Steamer is a projection system that says, hey, based on what they've done so far this year, and then here's the rest of the season, this is how many wins above replacement they're going to get. So that's what I'm looking for. And then I'm going to go to, in this case, Houston, and I click Houston, and then I come up and I see, okay, Yusei Kikuchi, he's 3.2 WAR. That's what his value is. All right, so in my calculation over here, I put streamer 3.2 for Kikuchi. But what I do is I also balance that with another projection system called Zips, because they're calculated a little differently. I like Steamer a little bit better, but sometimes Steamer gets too high on certain things and Zips is a little lower, so it kind of balances those two things out. So that's what I like about having them both. And Yusei Kikuchi is a 3.0, so I'm going to plug in that number. So we go over here and we do 3.0. So now I need to do the same thing for the Rays, and in this case, then we're going to go to the Rays and go Tampa Bay, and this is Shane Baz, right? So in Zips, Shane Baz is a 0.8. So then I go plug in that number. So we go over here, Baz, 0.8, and then we go get him in Steamer, and Steamer Baz is a 1.1. So then we go over here and we type in 1.1. Okay, so now I've got my pitchers in there. So when I put the pitchers in there, you saw that Yusei Kikuchi is a 3.2 and a 3, so his average between both is a 3.1 WAR. And Shane Baz is a 1.1 and a 0.8, so he turns into a 0.95. So we have Kikuchi is a much better pitcher. So I need to adjust the line, which was minus 137. So how do we adjust the line? Well, what you do, and here's the variance that I use that Joe Pita's book, Trading Basis, doesn't. So Joe Pita's book, he says, hey, this one pitcher is part of a 5-man rotation, and you need to know what all the other pitchers' WARs are, and then what's the percentage that this particular pitcher is worth to that rotation, so then you can adjust the number for this game. And I get that. So the problem with that is that there's not 5 guys in a rotation anymore. A lot of times you end up with 7 guys, or you end up with 10 guys that are pitching or whatever. So you have to find a different way. So what I've done is I've taken that element and changed it. So when I changed it, I still like the idea that there's 5 pitchers, 5 starting pitchers. So what I did is I take those numbers and multiply them by 5. The starting pitcher's rotation, that's what they are. So he's one of 5 spots. I don't know who those 5 spots are, but he's one of 5 spots. So in those one of 5 spots, this is his value. So as it turns out, you get a lot more adjusting going on to the Houston side in this process. So it comes out where after you get these two pitchers lined up and they match up, we went 57-85 with no pitcher adjustments. Now we're at 64%, 64-47 for the Houston Astros to win this game because of the dominance pitching 3.0 WAR to not quite a 1, but almost a 1. So it's 3 times better pitcher. So you make the adjustment for that. So then you go down and say, okay, we need to adjust for home field. So the adjustment for home field takes that number and makes it 61-97. So the Houston Astros should win this game 61.97% of the time. And then if you take that number and move it into a money line, that's 163. So that's the number that Webby Odds creates, and that's how that's created. So there's a step-by-step to how that works. I would also tell people that it's a pretty simple calculator. I don't know if I can share it, but I mean, if somebody wants it, I don't care. So the reality becomes is it's minus 163 for this number. So then I start shopping it and go, okay, the opening line was minus 130. So I've got a little bit of value in Houston. Well, guess what's happened? The betting line has gone down to minus 117 for Houston. Well, holy crap, 117, and the number really probably more fair, reasonable number is 163. It opened at 130. People are betting on, shouldn't say people. The line has moved. So that makes this on sale. There's a hell of a bunch of value here. And when I looked at my number on the EV tool, if I can pull it up, there it is. The EV tool says Houston is 14% an EV positive bet. So you're going on Kikuchi's 2 starts with Houston. No, I'm going on Kikuchi's last 30 days. So good question though. So let's do it this way. So it says Kikuchi's last 2 starts. Good question, Brian. So when I make this number, the answer to that question is the projection numbers don't care who he pitches for. He's pitching in Houston now. So it's just looking at what he's worth. When I handicap the games and look at the last 30 days for when I get his XFIP numbers and his Sierra numbers, I'm handicapping these guys for every 30 days. I don't look at them in full season ever. So the last 30 days, I want to know how they're pitching. So he's going to have made starts for Houston, and he's going to have made starts for the Blue Jays. So I used both of those until he's now gone into just being with Houston for the whole time. So this part of it, where I make the number, doesn't really matter who he's pitching for and how many starts he's made with Houston. Hopefully that makes sense. He's all I'm doing is using a WAR number, and the WAR number is multiplied and divided into how many games they've played and what his value is for this one game. And then it's adjusted for this one game. So then as it turns out, there's a 14% advantage to be betting on Houston today. So then I go and say, okay, Houston's the right side. So I have to go vet that. So how do you vet that? So what I mean by that is I need to go make sure that Kikuchi's last start, he didn't throw a no-hitter, that he didn't go out and throw, 8 innings and gave up and struck out, 15 guys. Because if he did that, he's going to regress today. Well, when I go back and I start to look at his number and Kikuchi's number comes up, he threw a game score 53 the last time. His last 3 starts are a 48. For the season, he's a 49. So So he's kind of right in line with where he's supposed to be. So no, he's not going to have necessarily a spot here where he should regress. So I like that idea. So you do the same thing with Baz, right? You go and say, hey, what did he do the last time out and all that. But one of the things here too, they just pitched. I mentioned that they just pitched against each other, not the last start, but the start prior. And Baz threw a 56, which is his second best start coming off the disabled list. And Kikuchi threw a 48, which is his normal start. So what I'm expecting here is that you're going to see normalcy from both pitchers. You're not going to see anything where one guy stands out that he's going to be more dominant because he needs to offset anything that's been going on in terms of being a poor performer or being a high-end performer. So I think that's going to be about average, right? So then this is where sort of the new formatting thing comes in. I have a bet with Houston that's an EV positive bet. So now the pitching part of it matches up okay. I don't have too much of an issue there. The other part of that is I should mention that the metrics are really in favor of Kikuchi too by far. 3.45 xFIP, 3.45 Sierra. Those are top 25% of all of baseball. And Baz is 4.85 and 5.02. So, one run to 1.5 run advantage to Kikuchi, and Baz is in the worst 25% of baseball over the last 30 days. So then what I did was I went and I said, I want to make a list of teams I want to bet on. So I want to bet on the top 6 offense or top offenses baseball. So my numbers sort of separated at 6. So the top 6 are Arizona, Houston, Milwaukee, Chicago, San Diego, and New York. Those are the ones that are going. And then isolated power-wise, Arizona, Atlanta, Houston, Chicago Cubs, Milwaukee Brewers, and Kansas City Royals. So those are the top teams in offense going on right now. And in the bottom, teams you kind of want to that don't score a lot of runs, not doing well, Cleveland, San Francisco, Detroit, Tampa Bay, and Boston. So here's the matchup where you have the number 2 offense in baseball going against the number 29 offense in baseball. You have a better pitcher, and you're getting great line value. It has to be a bet. So you have to bet Houston. And especially with the line the way it fell and it kind of tumbled down. I think when I looked at it going into the game starts at 6:50, I think. So when I was looking at it and going into it, it was 117, now it's 121. But it's still a ton of value, and originally it was 130. So I think that's where you go and say that's kind of the stuff you're doing and what you're looking for. So that was play number 1 is the Houston Astros, and I wanted to hit that one because I know it starts at 6:50. So two other well, there's really 3 other spots here, but we're going to talk about the Milwaukee Brewers for a second and the Dodgers today. I was on this game yesterday. I was expecting runs, and we got them from the Dodgers. I mean, they scored 5, and the Brewers only scored 2. And Kershaw pitched pretty good yesterday. So today they get Stone on the mound, and Stone kind of give you a heads up here. There was a time that I would just almost blindly bet Stone because he was pitching really good and people didn't know who he was. Right now, his last start was a game score of 40. Over his last 3, he's got a game score of 31.7. Over his last 7, he's a game score of 42. So he's been a below average pitcher for almost a month and a half. His game score for the whole season's a 52. So even though this last month and a half or so has been poor, he's still a better than average pitcher for the whole year. He's making mistakes. His WPA number is minus 53. So he's making more poor pitches than he is good pitches, is what that means. His whip rate, walks plus hits divided by innings pitched, is 1.68, so almost more than 1.5. So there's lots of traffic on the bases against him, and he's in the top 25% of worst pitchers with the metrics, 4.62, 4.69. He's got a 6.43 FIP number. So he's been giving up a lot of home runs too. So we've got a pitcher that's struggling, and he hasn't pitched a great start since the 7th start ago. So when I do these, I stretch him out for 7 starts, and he's got a game score 40, 23, 32, 51, 34, 22, 92. So that's his last best start, was that long ago. And now he's going to face the Milwaukee Brewers. And we need to know, okay, what's the Milwaukee Brewers offense? Well, Milwaukee Brewers offense are number 3 in baseball right now. And isolated power, they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're 5th. So we got a great spot here where you got a good offense that's hitting. If I looked at it from a perspective of where's Milwaukee, they're scoring 6.9 runs a game, even though they only scored 2 yesterday. So I like the idea that you've got a Milwaukee team that's been hitting. They're hot. Kershaw kind of handled them a little bit yesterday. They had him on. They didn't really even have him on the ropes too much. They didn't get a lot of base runners. They didn't score when they had base runners. They were like 0 for 6 or something like that. Left 6 guys on base, but that's not a lot compared to some of these teams that get bad spots where they get 12 guys on base and they can't score those guys. So Kershaw did great. I'm not expecting Stone to go out there and be this dynamo. So that's going to be a spot where you go, okay, I kind of like that. Why did we end up there? Well, we ended up there. Where's Milwaukee? There they are. We ended up there because Colin Ray, I don't think, is getting any credit for what he's done for Milwaukee. He's been super, super good, and Milwaukee's been really good. Milwaukee, they're playing at home. They play in a right-handed pitcher, and that matters because Milwaukee against right-handed pitchers, they are 52 wins and 32 losses. So they win a lot against 20 games over 500 against right-handed pitchers, and this one's a struggling right-handed pitcher. But getting back to Colin Ray for 1 second, let me pull up this other number. Colin Ray has made Milwaukee Brewers. They're there. He has made. I gotta click this button. Wow, there we go. Colin Ray. He's made 19 starts for the Brewers. In those 19 starts, the Brewers have won 14 times. So they're 14-5 when Colin Ray starts. And if I go and look at Colin Ray in regards to kind of what kind of pitcher he is, he's got 25%. He's in the best 25% in metrics. He's a 3.14 xFIP. He's a 2.92 Sierra and a 2.89 FIP number. Only King, Michael King, for the Padres is better than him today. This number is better than Skubal's number for today. Now, Skubal's a better pitcher, but my point being is that stuff kind of fluctuates based on where they are in the last 30 days. So he's on a run, right? We just said that Stone's 1.68 whip rate, so almost 2 guys, 1 3/4 guys are getting on base every inning. And for Colin Ray, it's 0.98. Not even 1 guy, but pretty close. And he's not making mistakes. So I like the idea that you have a pitcher who, just goes out there and does his job and does a great job. And then you have a flashy Dodgers team that comes in. And I get it, Mookie Betts is back and all that stuff. And, as they get going, and once they start hitting and going crazy, the Dodgers are a team you want to support. Because they just offensively, like a softball team, they can go dominate and beat anybody or be behind and come back and win all these games. but let's get him there first, right? So Ohtani hit a home run yesterday. Betts hit a home run yesterday. They scored 5 runs. In a lot of cases, depending upon, and the bullpen's not been real good for the Dodgers. So they're going to have to score a lot. They might have to score more than 5. And if they're facing a team like the Brewers, it's possible they might have to score 7 or 8. So as we're doing this, you start to think, okay, who's going to be able to score 7 or 8 runs? Well, Colin Ray's been pretty good, and Gavin Stone has not. So I would almost be willing to tell you that the Brewers have a bigger chance to score 7 or 8 runs than the Dodgers do. So I'm telling you, I think that the Brewers as a small dog here are the better play, and you're getting a top 5 offense. You're getting it against a pitcher that they can take advantage of. So I think you do, right? I think there's value in that. I don't think there's a lot of, when you put it on the EV plus calculator tool, it's not the greatest EV plus, but at the same time, it's a good play, right? So you bet it. So that's play number 2, and then. And it's a small dog, right? I mean, it was plus 102 or whatever. I think it's probably in that same neighborhood now. Where's it at now? Where is it? It is there. You are. Gavin Stone is minus 111 at Superbook. So it's even money. So I think you play it and you go on and you go say, okay, it's a tight game, but I think they pull this one out. So the next one is an interesting spot because I think people are down on the Atlanta Braves, and I don't blame them. I mean, they haven't been doing a whole lot. But isolated power is something that teams are trying to do, right? I've been saying this all summer. An offense, what they're trying to do is get a guy on base and then hit home runs. That's what they're doing. Hit a double, and they want to do damage with a guy on base. So the trouble with Atlanta is they've been having trouble getting guys on base, and they've been hitting a lot of solo home runs or doing whatever. But right now, their isolated power rank is number 2 in all of baseball. Number 2, and they're getting ready to face the San Francisco Giants, who have their spells where they're pretty good. But right now, they're 27th in baseball in offensive WAR. So they're not doing very good in offense. And you have, where is this at? Pitchers. And then you go to offense. And then you go and say San Francisco. So San Francisco is scoring 4.4 runs a game. That's not a terrible number, but that's an average number. The Atlanta Braves are scoring 5.3 runs a game. So it's a little above average. It's not 6 or it's not 7, but it's 5. That's pretty good. You can win some games that way if you get a little bit of pitching. And of course, yesterday, they had the 2 good pitchers pitch. But today, you have a matchup between Charlie Morton and Harrison. Now, Harrison's been pretty good since he's come off the disabled list. But he's a game score 51 for the season. His last start was a 54. His last 7's a 52. So he's an average, just a bit of average above pitcher. What's interesting is this is one of those great spots that nobody talks about. When a pitcher that has major league experience, and maybe even not so much major league experience, but a good pitcher. Charlie Morton's a good pitcher. Now, he's old and he's not as good as he used to be. But he's seasoned. He knows what he's doing. And if you go back and you look at his game scores for the season, the entire season, he's got a bad start and then a good start, and then a bad start and a good start, and then a kind of an average start, and then a bad start and a good start. Well, that's kind of what he does. At this point, he's going along, and he's an average pitcher. I think his game score for the season is a 49, 50's average, so he's right there. And over the last 7 days, it's a game score 40, so it's even worse. He's not that good. But what he's run into is he had a game score 76. This is 7 starts ago. 76. So you would expect him to do bad, right? The next game, 38. Then he threw a 48, which is kind of his average. Then he threw a 62. Okay, well, what should he do off a 62? Bad start. 4. He threw a game score 4. If you throw a 4, you have to offset the 4 with a good start. That's what he did. Game score 64. So that leaves us with what he did the last time out. He got bombed. He threw a -10. -10. So I think you're going to see a really good Charlie Morton today. And I think you're going to see a team in Atlanta that, of all things, they hit left-handed pitching. So I like the idea that you have a number 2 isolated power team, a left-handed pitcher that's an average pitcher going against them, maybe just a little above average pitcher. And you have a seasoned veteran pitcher in Charlie Morton that's off a game score 10, -10. So to kind of give you an idea, that -10, he's going to do, he say he throws a 60. Well, if he throws a 60 and -10, add them together, you got 50 over 2 starts divided by 2. Now he's at 25. He'll probably throw another 60. He'll probably throw a couple of good games to get that average, keep it up to 50, 49, whatever it is. So that's how that works, right? His mean, his average number for the season, he's going to stay at. But over the next 7 starts, he has to get there. So to get there, he's going to recover to get there, if that makes sense. So he's going to have bad starts, good starts, bad starts, good starts. And that's the way it works. It's not a straight line. It's not a straight line anywhere. So I like this spot in a sense that Charlie Morton's ready to have a good game. He could go out there and get killed tonight, but I think he's going to have a good game. He's progression ripe, meaning that over the next couple of starts, he's going to have 2 or 3 good games. And the Braves are hitting. So then you go and say, all right, well, maybe Michael Harris comes back, right? So I think, maybe he can be a spark and get on base. And then all these guys that are hitting, Olson's starting to hit. Azuna's still hitting. Riley's hitting. So I think you get to a point where you go, those are the right guys. And now you guys got to get guys on base. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 they're scoring runs. And then Charlie Morton knows what to do when he's ahead. I haven't been real happy with the way the Atlanta bullpen's been working out, but sometimes you gotta go with it. So in this particular case, my number on this game, go back to there, bang, slide this down. So my number on the game was Atlanta -103. So it's not that big of a deal. The number right now, Atlanta, it's like -112, -115 for San Francisco. So you can get them at +102, you can get them at +105. So again, EV positive bet, you make those bets and you kind of go on from there, right? So that's play number 3 is Atlanta Braves and Charlie Morton. And then I wanted to kind of cover one thing with this, with one other game. The Kansas City Royals today play the Minnesota Twins. And these are big games for both teams. Both teams are right now in the playoff hunt. Both teams are in the playoffs if they were to end today. Minnesota is trying to run down Cleveland, and for that matter, Kansas City is trying to run down Cleveland, but Kansas City has to pass Minnesota first. So you have Lugo on the mound for Kansas City. I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in the American League. And this number is Zebby Matthews for Minnesota, -120. All right, so the line opened at -115. There's a lot of hype around Zebby Matthews. And Zebby Matthews is a good pitcher. It's good. This will be his MLB debut. He is obviously a hype situation there, and not nearly as much as Skeens or any of those kind of guys. But I wanna share with you something that you can do so that you're more prepared for guys like Zebby Matthews, right? So if you're in Fangraphs and you go to leaders at the top. There's a little bar. Then you start looking at data and leaders, and you're going to go to pitching. So this is going to be then individual pitching, right? So you're not necessarily going to be looking at a team per se. So you click the button and then it pulls up all the pitchers, right? So currently with no splits, no nothing, it comes out and says, oh, there's Chris Sale, Tarek Skubal, George Kirby, Christopher Sanchez. Those are the best pitchers in baseball based off of Fangraphs WAR. So 4.9 is where Sale's at, Tarek Skubal's at 4.2, Kirby's 4.1, and so forth. And that's kind of how they're listed. But you can then go and say where it says all teams, and we're going to change this to Twins. And then here's the Twins' best pitchers: Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, and Pablo Lopez. Those three guys. But we don't see Zebby Matthews yet, right? So we can't see all these guys. So what we're going to do is I'm going to type in the player box up there, Zebby, and we're going to get Zebby Matthews. And I'm going to pull up his player profile. And what you get is you see 2024. He's 24 years old. In AAA, he's made 19. He's pitched 19 innings. He has 4 game starts. He's got a 10.89 strikeouts per 9 innings. He doesn't walk very many guys. So it tells you his data. But what you can do is if you click game log, now you're going to see everything that's broke down by start for him. And what's interesting to me is, if you look at his season, he's pitched 97 innings. He's only given up 77 hits. It's awesome. And he's got 114 strikeouts, even better, right? And he's walked 7 batters. So this guy's really good. All right, now, so the hype's for real. But when you start to look at it, you go, oh, he pitched an A ball. In an A ball, he threw 4 games down there, and they couldn't hit him. Then he moved up to double A ball. Then he's been there for quite a while, and then they put him in triple A. So AAA is the next closest thing to obviously the big leagues. And there are guys that have been former big league players there still waiting their turn to come in. They get rehab starts in there. And then there's up-and-coming players. So AAA is pretty good level. So I wanted to know what the difference is for Zebby Matthews pitching in AAA versus all the other starts. This is the only way to do it. So in AAA, he made 4 starts. He threw 19 innings. Okay, so he's averaging basically five innings. He's allowed 18, 22, 24 hits. That doesn't match up to what his overall total was. Remember, his overall total was 77 hits in 97 innings. Now in AAA, he's given up 24 hits in 19 innings. So that doesn't match. And then he only gave up 28 earned runs in 97 innings this whole season. Well, of those 28 runs, 6, 10, 12, almost half of them are these 4 starts in AAA. So there's a big gap from A ball and then double A ball to triple A. And then there's a bigger gap from triple A to the big leagues, right? So I don't know that they're rushing this kid up here because he's made a lot of starts already. He's got 97 innings pitched. But I would almost prefer to see Zebby Matthews pitch 2 or 3 more times in AAA to get some stuff ironed out a little bit more because maybe they think they can get him. But look, we just said at the very beginning of this segment that the Twins and the Royals are playing games that matter. And because they matter, the reality is that they need him. And if he's a fresh, good arm, Joe Ryan just went down. And Simeon Woods Richardson hasn't pitched that many innings as much as he has now. So he's kind of getting to an innings problem. So they need pitchers. So look, this is one of the guys they got. So they're going to bring him up and give him a shot. So long story short with this is you can do a little bit of research on these guys that come up to the big leagues. So and we'll talk about this in just a second. I'm going to tell you another segment like this is going to be on Matthew Boyd, who pitches for Cleveland today. So you go in and you look at him and you go, okay, I'm not going to buy the hype. I'm going to buy the Royals. The Royals right now are number 6 in isolated power. They're scoring 5.8 runs a game. They're 12th in offense. They're not top 5, but they're 12th in offense. In Minnesota right now, they're 13th in isolated power. They're only scoring 3.9 runs a game, and they're 22nd in offense. So think about it. You have one of the better pitchers in the American League in Lugo on the mound today for Kansas City against an offense that's kind of in the bottom third of baseball right now, scoring less than 4 runs a game and they're starting a kid that has pretty good stuff probably, but can't pitch yet. So I like the advantage that the Royals have in this spot. And then when you go and when my numbers come out and I break them out, I think the Royals should be favored because when you look at, because here's what happens. Lugo, and I kind of broke this down earlier, Lugo is going to be a 4 when it comes to his WAR number. He's a 4. When it comes to Zebby Matthews, he hasn't pitched. So he could build up and become good, but these projection systems run him at a 0.4, because he hasn't done anything. And as he keeps winning, they'll keep growing these numbers up, right? They keep growing the numbers up. So, Skeens comes up, his first start or two coming out with the projection numbers, he's like a 0.6. He's not where he is today. They earn those things as they go. So Zebby's a 0.4. And when you bring all this out, you go, the Royals should be favored here, not Minnesota. And when you have this game and you look at it from a perspective of what the actual number is, if I can get to it. Here we go. Oh, wrong thing. I got too damn many windows open again. There we go. Today's games. So Zebby right now is a favorite of we said 120, 117 in some places. I think you have value and a lot of value on the Royals. So that's what I bet. I bet the Royals tonight. So anyway, I wanted to tell you that. So as we were saying, and going through the exercise with Zebby, you can do the same thing with Matthew Boyd. So Matthew Boyd. Why did that not work? There we go. Matthew Boyd. All right. So Matthew Boyd has been a pitcher in the big leagues for years. And he was a Detroit Tiger for years. He got signed and played with somebody last year. Seattle. He pitched with Seattle, but not very much. Went back to Detroit. This year hasn't pitched for anybody. He got signed by Cleveland. Cleveland needs pitchers. But you got nothing to go on. He's making his first start. So what's he been doing? Well, you go to, again, you pull him up, and then there's a little button in there where you pull up his numbers and you see them, but there's a little spot that says minor leagues in there. You click that button, and then it's going to show you what he's done getting ready to pitch in this game. So then you can hit game logs, and you can go and say, that's pretty interesting, because Matthew Boyd has pitched. I guess I should probably explain a couple of things too. When you pull these up, and it says CPX. Jay Barry, how you doing? Says, have a great night. Lugo, yes, Lugo. I think Lugo is going to do well today. So I got your email too, Jay. I appreciate that. So Cleveland, CPX, that's an instructional league. They have players that play in an instructional league, and they're owned by these teams, and they play other teams with instructional league players. So he pitched one game in an instructional league, and he pitched. They moved him right out of that after that because he pitched 3 innings there. Then they moved him up to Double-A, and he made 2 starts in Double-A. And then in the starts in Double-A, he threw. Make sure I got the right numbers. He threw 2 games, 9 innings, gave up 6 hits and 1 run. So he's doing pretty good. Then they moved him to AAA, and he made 2 starts in AAA. And remember, we just talked about Zebby Matthews and how he was having a struggle. He made 2 starts, 9.2 innings, only gave up 3 hits, and he gave up 1 run, or 2 runs, 1 earned. So he's been doing very well, getting ready to make his big league debut for the season. So then because a lot of times these guys get signed and you don't know what to think or what they're going to do, but you have that tool. You can go and see what that looks like and kind of where that goes. So I wanted you to be aware that you can get the information if you look at it a little bit, and you can figure out what to expect from these guys. When you see a name like Matthew Boyd that pops up and go, holy crap, he hasn't pitched in forever. Well, you can see that he's been working his way in. And I would say that obviously he hasn't thrown very many innings. So, he's probably, if whatever he does today, however he pitches today in the big leagues, he's only going to throw probably 5 innings at the most. I wouldn't think he would go more than that. But with your Cleveland, you're okay with that. You need a guy to go 5-6 innings and then bring in the best bullpen in baseball. So I think that's kind of the thought process behind why they signed him. And then you kind of look at it and develop that and go. So we'll see how that stuff plays out. So when I learned this about what he did, I went and said, oh, he's probably going to pitch halfway decent today. Maybe that means that Cleveland's in a good spot against the Cubs. So then I looked at it, and the number, where's that Cleveland game? Cleveland, here we go. So the line opened to 125. So I'm like, there's a reasonable shot here that Boyd pitches pretty well. And he's pitching against, they're playing the Cubs, and Assad's on the mound, and Assad has bad numbers. So I go look at it, and all of a sudden the number's up to 150 from 125. I go, I can't bet that. So what that means is somebody like me or somebody that went out there goes and says, holy crap, Boyd's probably a good bet. I'm going to put a lot of money in here. Then the book changed the numbers and then it moved from there. So an influencer bet that number and moved it up. And made the number go. I'm not saying I do that. I'm just saying that somebody found the same value that I looked at and then put enough money on it to change the odds, and then it started steaming up from there. And I think you can follow it to a degree, but once it's 125 and it gets to 135, there's no value in it anymore. And now it's all the way up to 150, and looks like the start of the game it looks like it's 1-0 Chicago right now anyway. So, but stuff happens. Things kind of break out that way, and you go from there. So, hopefully some of these spots made sense. I think the idea was for me to show you today that you can look at a lot of different things, and I do. But then I tried specifically today to eliminate a lot of stuff that I was looking at. Because I was trying to get out of a little bit of a rut and different things. So might do that for a couple of days. But ideally, you have to have an idea of what you want to do. So I wanted to go in and I want to bet on good offenses that score runs, that have high isolated power, that have a good opportunity to take advantage of the pitchers that they're facing, plus be good bets. So we came up with Houston with Kikuchi. We came up with Milwaukee and Ray, Atlanta and Morton, and Kansas City and Lugo. So Lugo's an underdog. So good luck with those if you play them. Good luck with your bets tonight. We got a lot of people on here again. It's almost 200 people. As we go, have a great night. Make some money. And I'll be back again tomorrow, 6:15. Like I always say, follow me on Twitter. I say that a lot, and nobody does unless everybody's already following me that's on there, which I don't think is the case. But follow me on Twitter. And it's not about my Twitter account. It's about information and getting things out. Go to my website, mlb-daily.com. If you want to be a client, it's $100. You just click the button and click the other button and boom, you're in. And then we go from there, right? Because football's on the way. Things are happening. Those who do know me a little bit closer personally, like Jeff and some of the other people, this is the time of year where Halloween's a big deal at my house. I think I have 2 12-foot monsters. I have like 6 7-foot animatronic monsters. I build stuff and put stuff out and do all kinds of stuff for the kids and dress everything all up and make it a fun little thing. So as all of these things are going on, I got a lot of stuff happening in my life. I think that it's time to have some fun, and let's have some fun making some money. So, guys, I will see you tomorrow at 6:15. Now, let me ask this question because, I started the show at 6:15 and, we had probably, I'm going to guess we probably had 30 to 35 people, maybe 40 people on there for, I would say, the first half an hour. And in the first half hour, I'm going over a lot of stuff. We have 200 people on here now, and I'm ready to hang up. So my question to you guys, and please, let me say this without being offensive. I'm looking for feedback. I'm looking for what works best for you. If you want me to start the show at 7 because it gets 200 people on here and you don't miss anything that I'm talking about, great. I think a lot of people go back and watch the show after it's over. But let me know what you want so that we can get some of the stuff handled right. Since there's a lot of people on here and you guys miss a lot of the stuff that we talk about at the beginning. Not that it's the most important things in the world, but at the same time, if you miss it, you miss it. So give me some feedback. Let me know what you want. I think 6:15 works for me because then I can get these 6:30 games, 6:45 games. And then I got to take my wife out to dinner now. So it's time for me to hang up and go. But I will see you guys again tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a new slate of games, and let's see if we can make some money tonight. So anyway, good luck. Have a well-deserved pocket full of wins, and let's go. Let's go tomorrow. Talk to you later.